never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
The past is gone. Now's the future.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Weekly Review. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me by my sides are my dudes with attitudes, Paul Morales and Daniel Crimmins. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Cold.
Paul, how are you doing?
I don't know. I got a fan in front of me, so I'm perfectly fine. So it's nice and cool, but it's not like freezing cold.
Well, I will say that's always a plus. And joining us today for his podcast debut, Rooney, as we mentioned off air, and we'll say, and we're popping that cherry pop till you don't stop. The one, the only, our boy EJ, aka Charisma. EJ, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Of course, there's a lot to analyze, dissect, and decipher here into the weekend review. And I felt there was no better way, to quote this fine gentleman over here, ain't no way to better start this fine podcast than with starting with a little MVP, a little Montel Vontavious Porter, that is MBV. So two infamous moments came out of this Full Gear media scrum, and we'll analyze, dissect, and decipher Full Gear later on today's program. But, woo, MVP put this man on every single media scrum. We've said it off air. We'll say it here. Let's play first the Dave Meltzer clip.
Great
Next
idea.
question.
It's a great idea.
Aria from F4WOnline.com. A few years
From
ago,
what?
From F4W. It's a wrestling website.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter.
No, we don't entertain any questions from that nerd. Next question.
I will answer your question.
MVP is the greatest. First, we'll start with that one. That was the best way to handle it. It was
Selden's reaction was great.
Yes.
Off the rip, he was just like, "Nah, we're not doing this. Thank you guys. Have a good day."
Thank you. We're not
We
entertaining
don't entertain that nerd.
Well, I think what's great about it too, as well as, and we see how these pressers go. And one of the things I always hate about the media scrum, as it is with AEW, is if you don't ask something that's, easygoing, Tony doesn't like it. Doesn't like to be pressed. And I mean, Triple H in his own right, when he gets some stuff, he has a little about how he answers questions. But also at the same time, too, my thing with that is with the pressers with Tony Khan, it's just, yeah. But I have to ask you, and we'll start with Paul. Go ahead.
Mike,
what were your thoughts on the Dave
To be
Meltzer?
fair, Mike,
Yeah.
Tony's comments, you remember what that one media scrum, that one time where he did let some hostile questions come through? That one guy, that guy from Chicago.
Yeah. I wonder whatever happened to that guy.
Well, apparently it's the 1-year anniversary of his WWE return, which we'll get into. But, Paul, let's talk about the Dave Meltzer side of things, the first MVP comment of this entertaining press conference. Go ahead.
Fucking, for some apparent reason, MVP always has some shit to say to somebody. And it ain't, and it the fact that it was in the media and it was pretty much, freaking, what the hell is it called?
Media scrum.
Yeah, no, but the freaking Fightful. No, it wasn't Fightful. It was
Full Gear.
Yeah. So the fact that he did all this and this shit was fucking hilarious. I mean, I love how he just shut him down. He didn't even give him a chance. He's like, nah. I ain't even gonna try and press on this. Nope. Next question. On to the next.
He pretty much said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks."
Right.
So, EJ, I will ask you, my charismatic friend, what were your thoughts on this? Because MVP, probably one of the most charismatic and also very intelligent, eloquent man in the history of professional wrestling to pick up the stick. I have to ask you, what were your thoughts about him not even entertaining a member of the Wrestling News Observer, the F4W Online? Your thoughts?
Well, the first thing I felt like is he just stiff-armed him out the way. And then I can't help but think, like, guys like Lashley and them who are professionals try not to break character, nah, we're not dealing with this. You guys are underneath me. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was pretty funny, like, off the rip. Like, he didn't waste no time. And he went into it like it was just a cool transition, like, nah, we're not doing this. Not today, guys. Next
Not
question. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And I always look at it from a stance too, like this. I think with the reputation that that brand, that product has, especially Dave and Brian to an extent, but mostly Dave, it's what you get, the aura, the vibes, and the questions that you're going to get from that particular news outlet. And Daniel Crimmins, I see your face. I see this grill all up in this piece here. Man, your thoughts on the Dave Meltzer MVP type of vibes that we got there at the media scrum?
I'm sure Melcher's feelings were hurt. You know,
Right.
but
Yeah, don't say.
You don't say.
I guarantee he's probably thinking like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? How do I come back to it? What bullshit story do I come up with?
You got nothing here.
This is the nerd who fell for a story that WWE was running Backlash in the Tokyo Dome and broadcast out saying, "Yep, this is where it's going to be." Not to check his sources.
Did you not even see the Twitter, Dave, was Wessel
Like,
votes
this
and
is
Wessel
the guy.
Words parody account? It says it right in the friggin' description, parody account. Oh, Uncle Dave, go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
This is the guy who doesn't check his sources. Like, what kind of journalist are you? I mean, I hate to say the phrase, but fake news.
I mean, he seems like a guy who feels like he's too big for his britches, so he doesn't need to fact check anything. Oh, I could just throw it out there. I'm Dave Meltzer. That's the arrogance in him. So for me, it's just like, come on, dude. Like, get to your research. You built your brand on getting all these stories and figuring out all these things. So my best assessment is just handle your business. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I got, Meltzer bugs me. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey,
he's
Meltzer
WWE.
bugs everybody.
He bugs all
Right.
of us, and he's going to be a focal point of the show because
We'll accept the mark.
We'll check the marks, and also the fact that he put out some dumb tweets, but we'll get to that. I agree with and concur with EJ here. It's one of those things where a guy who's been around for 40 plus years, he had the mullet back in the day when he was on the Phil Donahue show. I mean, this is a guy who just says what he feels and like, okay, I'm Dave Meltzer. Look at me. I'm the Pope. I'm the overall professional wrestling. My mindset matters. My opinion matters. Fuck everybody else. And even if it's right, who cares? Someone told me it, so it must be right. So that is the issue that I have, much like EJ and all of us have with Dave Meltzer. But the other issue that comes into fruition from this media scrum is all Kate from Fightful. All Kate from Fightful said it. Bobby Lashley, a master craftsman and such a professional at what he does. We are going to play what recently just happened. And here we go. All right, so here is Kate from Fightful. She asked this question at the media scrum. It's got everybody talking. Bobby Lashley handled this with such class, and this just shows just the overall professionalism from Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton in their own right. So here is Kate from Fightful's question to Bobby Lashley.
Hi, Kate from Fightful. You guys seem very motivated to find gold here, and I just wanted to ask what it was like to come into a company and see so many Black champions and what it meant to challenge right off the bat, essentially, a former Black world champion.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that Black champion. It's just a champion. See, we've normalized this already, and that's what I want to do with it. Winning a title as a Black champion, and there's other Black champions here. We can kind of erase that word now. We can just say champion. It could be a Black champion. It could be Asian champion, it can be Latin champion, it can be any champion. So we've already normalized that, so we can kind of erase that Black champion, and it's just champion now.
Abso-effing-lutely. Oh,
Mike, can I just
sure.
Tony Khan, like a fucking putz, is literally sitting like, when literally the man was on Twitter saying, "Oh, hey, I got all these Black champions. I got them. I got her."
In the world.
Like, dude, you were literally saying, "Oh, hey, look at me. I'm special." Like Lashley said, normalize it. Like, I don't know.
I kind of
Please,
feel like
silly.
WWE
EJ,
dropped the ball.
it's all you. It's all you,
All
brother.
you,
EJ, it's all you.
All right, my man. Look, I feel like they dropped the ball with Lashley. Like, there's so many things you could have did with him while you had him in WWE, and you guys just let him just fade away into nothingness. And now here we are, AEW. He can reinvent himself. He can reinvent the group. He can call it the Hurt Business or whatever business they want to call it at this point. You know, we'll take a look further and what it's going to look like. But ultimately, like you guys said, he handled this with such dignity and class, and he kind of just kept the board clean. Like, look, it's about champions, not about black, it's not about Hispanic, it's not about Asian. It's just about winning titles at this point. And you got a guy like Shelton, who I kind of feel like WWE didn't give him much of his due either. You know, we can look at his resume. You know, we can look at the history with him and Haas and how they got in there. And now looking at him now, he's a veteran. And you know, I gotta say, like, it's interesting what this is going to look like. You know, going forward.
Here's my take on it. Is like Shelton Benjamin should have already been a world champion.
Absolutely.
In WWE in general, he should have been a world champion because he's a multiple-time Intercontinental champion, and it propelled him into nothing. That's a Vince issue. That's a completely entirely different issue. But that's something that Vince never did. And as far as Bobby goes, Bobby did his damn thing with the United States Championship. Do I think he should have been in that upper echelon of world champions? Yes. Should he have been competing for it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Had he been featured better, he probably would have been up there. Now, what I take an issue with is that both Triple H and both Vince McMahon ended up doing the exact same thing with Bobby. It's like, give him a championship, shut him up, and just, you know, let him have a good run with it, and then not give it back to him again. Not keep him in that elite status and not do anything with him. And that's both of them.
Yeah.
And they're both at fault for that.
You know, I think, honestly, one of the biggest mistakes, whether it be Triple H or Vince or whoever, really, that part's irrelevant, was not doing a Hurt Business versus Bloodline storyline. Like, I really feel Lashley could have taken the loss and been fine. Absolutely fine. But to me, like, you could have had the whole faction to be like, hey, they tried everybody. Nobody can stop Roman. So who do you go to? Sometimes, you know, to get rid of one devil, you have to go to, you know, to get rid of the devil, you have to go to another devil.
Right.
Yeah.
You go to Lashley. So, you know, Lashley and Roman are both guys that can hit hard. And I mean, you're leaving money on the table.
Right. And I mean, they experimented with the Street Profits with Lashley for a minute, and we kind of got to look at what it could look like. But ultimately, you know, like you guys said, Vince and Triple H kind of did the same thing. They kind of just, you know, do spaghetti at the wall, so to speak, and see how it's stuck. And I'm just kind of like, there's so many different things you guys could do with him. I mean, hell, y'all had him set up with Lana of all things for a minute.
Oh my goodness!
And here, I thought they were gonna do that whole Mark Henry
sexual chocolate
young thing, to where, you know, have that, you know, black guy with a white woman and, you know, do all that. But, you know, it probably would have been funny up to a point, but, you know, Bobby doesn't have that comic timing as Mark Henry does. I'll just put it to you like that.
No,
absolutely not.
He doesn't have the charisma that Mark Henry had.
Right.
Unlike EJ, who's got a whole lot of
charisma.
We'll take that. We'll take that.
So to add on to EJ's point, which I also like, he brought up the history of him and Charlie Haas as the world's greatest tag team. I mean, Shelton, with how he's wrestling now, is very reminiscent of his former tag team partner in the Minnesota stretching crew there in OVW with Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, you have a lot of what you see, the tools, the finesse, and everything that goes to Bobby Lashley's overall presentation and foundation. I look at it like this, man. You have a lot of what we're doing now, him and Swerve, which had a great match at Full Gear. The dude has just that overall aesthetics, the overall everything that goes into what he does. You mentioned Shelton. I mean, if you look at his feud with 2008, 2009, he's in the United States Championship realm. He's going against Christian for the ECW Championship at TLC. So there's so many things where he could have been a world champion there, but we didn't execute that, and I think it's a shame. But I mean, you also have MVP there now. You have everybody. The Hurt Syndicate is in full effect in AEW. So let's see where before all this progresses. But it is a crying shame that of what just happened at this media scrum. And let's just see Bobby Lashley continue to do Bobby Lashley and hurt business, hurt syndicate things. And
the one point, Mike, that I think needs to be brought up is, where the hell do they bring in these reporters? Like,
oh well,
get better people. Like, whatever website you're sending, send better people.
Okay, so I got to add
and
on.
I like Kate. Don't get me wrong. I like Kate. She's awesome. She's got her own opinions, but that was just kind of like one of those. And I get it. It was a legitimate question. I don't see it as it being like a target as far as like trying to target them. I mean, I think it's like you look at what MVP was talking about in GCW. When he went on that whole rant about how, you know, certain champions aren't welcomed in WWE. I think that's kind of like where Kate was coming off of, you know, and he kind of threw that out there. Those were his words. Those were his words about being a black champion, you know, and you look at AEW and what they have and what WWE doesn't have. So, you know, just kind of running with his words. So I get where it came from. It's cool with me, but then again, you got this idiot right there that's on our screen. So
to add on to DC's point, which, and this is why I love the three of y'all on this. So where do we get these reporters? Tony's like, come on in. You guys love AEW. I love it too. Let's go. Yippee skippy. So the fact of the matter is we have Tony Khan, who has X, Y, and Z in here. He's had Nick Hausman in there, and we saw what happened with the CM Punk Brawl Out thing happened in 2022. I mean, WWE for a little bit had Dave Meltzer on their call, or they had Ryan Satin come on in. I mean, the people that are even doing it now on their after-show press conferences are better than what we have in AEW, where we see everything that goes into fruition on this front. And I look at it from a stance like this. In this particular scenario, they had Z100 there, which is a very popular radio station in New York. So they had some credible credentials, so to speak. They had 107.9 KISS FM up in there. But the problem is, Tony just lets any Joe Schmo, you love AEW, well, I love AEW. Let's all make love together on the bearskin rug. It's one of those. Whoa. Pause. Let's not. But
I ain't trying to be make love on. It depends on who she is.
I'm just saying that
we don't need the image, the visual, what Tony Khan does in his private time. We don't need that image rolling around in our heads.
Well, I had the image. Well, I had the music of Avant taking it back to 02. We'd be making.
Oh shoot! He's got 4 minutes. He's got 4 minutes.
I'll snap. So, moving on to Tony Khan. Pop culture references aside, Tony Khan came on out, and this was on Q101 in New York. So Tony Khan says that he did not vote for the Young Bucks on his Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame ballot. So he writes back under this tweet, no, I said that I didn't vote for anyone in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame because I didn't send in a ballot at all, which I explained was because I didn't have time this year to do the necessary historical research to cast the proper vote, several on the legends. Tony, this is why people make fun of you for being a mark. Why do you need to vote on the Wrestling Observer Awards? Do you see Triple H voting on the Wrestling Observer Awards? Do you think Anthem or Scott D'Amore wants to friggin' vote on the Wrestling Observer Awards? Do you think Billy Corgan or give me anybody from NWA, MLW cares? No, this is because it's you. I'm going to hand it over to my man Charisma over here. EJ, your thoughts on Tony Khan in this comment? Because like I said, stuff like this doesn't matter, but it's Tony being Tony and Tony Khan being Tony Khan.
Well, the one thing you just mentioned, fellas, that those three guys have in common is bigger fish to fry.
Yep.
It feels like he's got nothing else better to do. He needs that positive reinforcement. He needs to be in the topic of spotlighting and talking about everything and making sure everything's on some kumbaya shit, fellas. And I'm sorry, it just ain't it. You know what I mean? Like,
you said kumbaya.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's the deal with him. He's like, I'm like, you got to stand on business somewhere, somehow. Like, you got to be a boss, you got to be a friend, and you got to be an entertainer, or however, whatever title you want to put yourself into. But it's time and place for everything to me. And in this case, he just, like I said, for him, it seems like a guy who has all this money and he's just a fan. Like, it's not a business requirement for me, and it's just I feel like
and
at the end of it,
that we all know this about Tony. Tony's not a promoter. Tony's a fan. That's all he's doing. Right. He's just a fan.
But my whole thing is you gotta stand on business. Like at this point in the game, you know, like now you're established. Okay, you know, you're not necessarily competing with WWE, but you're competing in a similar market. You know, it's sports entertainment versus wrestling. You know, we've been talking about this since the beginning of time, fellas. Like your sports entertainers, then you got your wrestlers. You know, they make it a point to keep that as separate as they possibly can. And like I said, it's not going to always be positive, but it feels like he's always looking for the easy way out. At least in my opinion, fellas.
He's hitting that low hanging fruit. You know, it's
Right.
I look at Tony Khan as somebody who, you know, maybe he, you know, maybe he didn't get the adulation he needed from daddy, you know, growing up. Maybe he wasn't that popular in school. He
I
needed that
mean,
praise. He needed
right.
everyone to tell him, "Oh, you're this, you're that, you're like why?" Stop
Give it for
focusing.
the sickos.
Stop. Focus on building a good. You have some of the best talent in the world.
Absolutely.
People like Osprey, Mark Davis. You've got Shelton, who is criminally underrated. You've got Swerve. Who cares what, you know, these fucking nerds are posting? Why do you care? Focus on building a better product, expanding your business, and get better crowds.
Right.
So I got to add on to that point, and this is why I love it. And EJ, we always do the voice of Tony Khan on here. Do it for the sickos, as Paul just did as well. I look at it like this. Tony Khan, for 5 years, his mindset is still, oh my God, I own a wrestling company. It's like, Tony, we know you've owned a wrestling company for 5 years. How about you do something to help expand with it? I mean, you had the Costco guys go on Jimmy Fallon. Perfect example, because it's like Jimmy Fallon, mainstream. But at the same time, Tony goes on friggin' like everything. Nobody else hardly does any media. I mean, Moxley did New York Post, or you may see something from MJF.
Moxley doesn't like that stuff.
No, but I mean, you have the expenditure that is right there necessary, but he doesn't do it. I mean, I look at it from a stance like this. Tony is always just about more of, okay, let's do the dream matches. What's going to make Dave Meltzer happy? It's not, you're not booking to Dave Meltzer. You need to book to the masses. You need to have the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances that go with telling a story. He doesn't want to do that. And the problem with Tony Khan as well is, if I have to hear everything's great, the greatest of great, the greatest, in every interview, I'm going to lose it, because attendance is down, ratings are down. And I know you're trying to go to smaller venues now, but these crowds, much like Daniel said, they suck. Reading, Pennsylvania didn't give a rat's ass about Roderick Strong and his alcoholic parents and his mama shooting his daddy when he was talking about that on Dynamite. Like, these people did not give a rat's ass that Serena Deeb had a seizure and she's going for Toni Storm in that AEW Women's World Heavyweight Championship. You have people that are non-reactionary, and it doesn't fit.
Yes. I'll ask you guys, do you guys remember that documentary movie Beyond the Mat?
Yeah.
Came out like 20-some years ago.
Yeah.
JR said something, and this is like the one quote that's really stuck with me. He says, I could give two shits who wins and loses. My focus is on what's going to put asses in seats.
Right. Telling a story.
Exactly.
And making it make sense.
What Tony Khan is doing, is he is what happens if you gave the average wrestling fan a promotion. Can I honestly say that any of us wouldn't be doing some of the same shit?
I mean, I can say I would not. I'm speaking for myself.
Would you be doing some of the same things? Like, would you focus more on like what you would like, or
no? See, here's the premise with that for me. Like, we've seen so many times where we wanted things done, and Vince will say something like, "Oh, we'll cater to the fans," and then he'll end up doing a swerve and coming up with some shit on his own that nobody wanted to begin with. Or he has we're gonna stick things down your throat till we make you tired.
Yep.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is a prime example of it. Listen, we didn't like Roman, couldn't stand Roman. I can't even describe that Royal Rumble clip where The Rock and him are hugging. I'm not even gonna rehash it. The point I'm making is that at the end of the day, like, it's cringy to me watching Tony work. It's cringy, and I'm just kind of like looking at it like, come on, man. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Yes, you own a wrestling organization. Now just do something with it. Make it make sense. It doesn't have to be something that's drawn out. You know, you don't have to overly compensate for the smart mark. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all watched wrestling for however amount of years that we watched wrestling. I had this conversation with Eric White. You guys know as the Belt God. Like, one of my best friends. I've known him since elementary school, and we have this conversation all the time about how we would run things as writers or whatever it is. If we came down to it, ain't about what we like; it's about what the people like, and finding the ways to make it work.
Tony Khan, much to you guys' point, Tony Khan brings in the fucking Costco guys.
Yep.
Even TNA brought in people. They brought in the fucking bottom rung tier of the Jersey Shore crew.
Oh yeah, we got Ronnie, we got JWoww, we got Angelina. I remember.
Well, look at WWE. WWE brought in Snooki. They brought in JWoww. You know, and they've done it too. So
yeah, they had the guest host era for a little bit where we had
everybody. Well, we got Jerry Springer. Where we got Alex Trebek. Yeah, we got Cardi. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Now, I got to go on EJ's point because this is where I'll do my Vince voice, because Tony Khan has become what he hates. He's become Vince McMahon. I know what they like better than they do. It's like with everybody being shoved down our throats. Look at the Stone Cold podcast with Cesaro. I can't push him. Oh, my God, he's Swiss. You have one of the best talents in the roster there. And Claudio, who is just strong. He can work at anything. He's so very multidimensional, speaks multiple languages. But you just see it like, oh, my God, he's Swiss. That's the problem. That's the mindset. He's adopting almost the Vince McMahon mindset. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw the Christian example. You see what Christian had to. You see what he had to go do. This guy had to leave WWE and go on this wayward journey. He's kind of the prototype to me in the sense of what Cody did. Like, he did what Cody did first to me, because he went out there. They made it clear to him, you weren't going to be a champion anywhere. I'm not playing. And at the time, Vince ran a monopoly at that point. So you had to go over here to TNA, build your brand as Christian Cage, and then come back. And you see what we're looking at now. It's kind of the same thing. Sometimes you got to go somewhere else to build your brand and become what you need to become. You know, it's tough when you got a guy like Vince McMahon who's sat in power. He's the dinosaur. You know, he doesn't care about the flips and the drive. You guys get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't.
Yeah,
he's not too primary.
1980s.
Yeah, but Vince wants Vince guys. That's all he wants. He didn't want to go. That's why, like, when Triple H had NXT as the OG Black and Gold brand, what did he do? He brought in all these indie guys that he knew could work a damn show, and those fucking takeovers. From 2016 all the way up or 2015 actually.
That's 2015.
Right.
Yeah, I would say 2015 all the way up until Vince took over and fucked it all up.
Right.
I mean, we could look at that and say, hey, look at what Triple H did in the matter of like a 4-year span. I mean, literally how many takeovers we remember and are so legendary that we still talking about them today. You don't get that with AEW. You don't get that, with, oh, you remember this from Full Gear, 2021, or do you remember? I mean, I know what happened at the Forum last year. I was there. That death match between Swerve and Hangman.
Oh my God.
Hangman. So that I remember because I was there. But you asked me about other matches that happened in AEW. Aside from maybe Dustin and Cody having their amazing match, brother and brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't list off 5, maybe 6 matches that I can remember offhand.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll even touch a step further with your Triple H comment. Sorry, my bad, guys. I just wanted to touch a little further on the Triple H thing. I mean, dude, who goes and gets the guns? That's a special thing to go do, get the money, Motor City Machine Guns for cents on the dollar, and now they're running Ramshot with the tag titles. You know what I mean? It's a smart grab. It's just,
oh yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, for me, it's just, we have options now, fellas. We don't have to be subjected to what's going on in WWE. We can slide over to TNA. We can slide over to AEW. We can touch on Noah and New Japan. We could do all these different things. There's MLW. There's a whole lot of things that are out there. GCW. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things going on. We have a lot of options.
It's a buffet, a literal buffet.
I like buffets.
I do too.
Oh,
I think
so do
we all
I.
like the
And
fun.
you know,
man.
honestly, I
Boy
made
can
this
eat.
point. I made this point on the TSK show. I'm gonna make it to you guys here. The problem with Tony Khan is he's booking AEW like an American version of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Correct.
The American fan, the average fan, does not know, nor do they care to know about New Japan Pro Wrestling. You ask the average fan who Tetsuya Naito is, they're not going to know. You ask them who Bullet Club is, they're not going to know.
Nope.
Nobody's going to know Finn Balor created the Bullet Club. Nobody's going to think about stuff like that. Nobody's going to pay attention to stuff like that because they don't care.
Exactly. You ask the average fan who Prince Devitt is, they're not going to know.
Well,
They
I mean,
say, yeah, you just saw him on Raw
okay.
as Finn Balor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to go on to Dan's point, I look at it like this. It's like
Let me
when
just finish
Tony-
it real quick, Mike. You have got to book you can do the New Japan shit. That's fine. You can book it as an American New Japan. But you also need aspects of WWE. You need that storyline. You need those good stories and the New Japan shit. And you got a winning combination there.
1,000%. I mean, to go on Daniel's point and to go on your point, EJ, I look at it like this with Tony. We mentioned the dream matches side of things. It's just like, and I'm sorry to say this, Adam Copeland versus Minoru Suzuki is not a doggone dream match because most people don't know who the fuck Minoru Suzuki is. But that's again, he doesn't explain anything. It's like when you bring in out of mothballs like Tomohiro Ishii again, because it's the 2-year anniversary of him and Jericho from Ring of Honor. It's the, hey, remember that time when they wrestled on Dynamite back in November of 2022? It was a dark and stormy night. And it's like, no, we don't remember that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Video package, but he doesn't believe that. Chris Jericho, Atlantis Jr. By the way, back in the 90s, him and his father wrestled back in Mexico when he was Corazon de Leon. The night was 1993. It was a dark and stormy night. No, we don't freaking remember that. Give me something. Give me video package to really help exemplify and highlight why this person is important. But he doesn't do that. And speaking of importance, which segues, and I'll let Paul take the reins on this one because I know he is gushing. So here we go. Here is
chomping at the bit, fellas.
Chomping at the bit. So he is so happy that we have the WWE Women's United States Championship, but now, as we know, the WWE Women's Intercontinental title is coming to Raw. Paul Morales will go around afterwards and discuss our thing about it. But Paul Morales, take it away.
Man, I am so beyond happy because, and you guys have no idea. I said this way back at the beginning of the year when Michael and I first started this. I said eventually, at some point, WWE is going to need a mid-card title for the women. I said because NXT was starting at the beginnings of loading up their women's division. And what happened? We got the North American title for the women there. Then all of a sudden you started seeing like the influx of women who were coming up to the main roster, who were literally filling up both SmackDown and Raw. And then through the draft, I said this just after, I believe it was just after WrestleMania. And I told you, Michael, I said they have to put one on the main roster. Not only did they put one, now we're going to get two.
Yeah, too.
2024 had to be, I have to be a prognosticator. I swear, I'm Nostradamus. You're welcome for this. I put it out into the damn universe, and I got 3 of them in 1 year.
Hey, you got winning lottery numbers?
Hold on. Hold on. No. Damn. But I got 3 as a magic number, though.
That is true.
Yes, it is.
And then, like, for me,
because I got 3 women's mid-card titles in the same year. You're welcome.
And this is going to set people up, like, it's going to set people like Naomi, who we know is not getting a major title shot no time soon. We can slide her into a mid-card, establish her. She can keep that thing going. Like, there are certain superstars that we know are not going to make the top-tier title list. They're just not, So I think it'll open up the door. It'll give some room to grow. I think it's a great thing having these
Absolutely.
different titles for these women. I think it's just
It's
it's
like
a cool option to have.
yeah, and you look at the SmackDown roster. You got Chelsea Green, you got Meechin, you got
Oh my gosh, she's so over. She's
Yep.
so
oh
over.
my God. And as much as people will probably gripe about it, yes, you have Bailey there too. Yes, you have. It's like literally that whole main roster, that whole roster on SmackDown can literally compete for this. Now switch over to Raw, and I think we kind of already recognized when they did the brackets for the United States title that there were no Raw women on it.
Right.
So we kind of already had that premonition that we were eventually going to get one for the women on Raw.
Right.
This is it. So I would like to see Laya Valkyria, Zelina Vega, who also, oh my God, is so over and deserves a damn title around her waist, and would probably carry it proudly. I mean,
Exactly.
just that. Look, any WWE, and this is something that Vince hated to do. The fact that he got rid of the women's world title in the 90s and didn't really care about it all the way up until the early 2000s, which we literally went with like literally 5-6 years without a damn women's world title.
Right.
So it's like now we got literally Triple H is just opening up, not even opening the door. This motherfucker just broke that shit down and just said, "Wow, here we go."
Yeah, he kicked it right
now
in.
you guys, okay, now you guys can go.
No, you're fine. I look at it like this to go on to your point. I mean, the vast majority of the roster on Raw, you have the Lyra Valkyrias, you have the Dakota Kais, you have the Io Shirai's, you have, everything from Casey Catanzaro, and you have Katana Chance there, and you have Lacey Lane and all those girls, and Zoe Stark and the PFC, everybody that's on Raw. You have a wide array and vast majority of roster. I mean, with the women back in the day, who'd you have? Friggin' Trish, Lita, Tori Wilson, Jazz, just maybe like a few, and they were only like in so many minuscule matches. But now there's more importance to it. And you also have people that can go, and you have the layers of NXT. You have so many people that, again, it's more things to give the shine for the women that they rightfully deserve. We've seen back in the day with Evolution, the pay-per-views exactly, and the tournaments. But this right here is the culmination of hard work, and it brings and uplifts people up, which at the end of the day, it's what it's about. So, Daniel Crimmins, you've been spitting. Go ahead, man.
Honestly, I think you want somebody who can tell a good story. Look at somebody like Zelina Vega, which, if you know her background, her father was killed on 9/11 in one of the towers. Like, somebody like Zelina Vega as your inaugural women's Intercontinental Champion, I think would tell a great story. She gets up, she's over with the fans, the public, even the more, because she's a gamer, cosplayer, she gets over with that crowd. My only issue with the new women's mid-card titles, white straps. Do something different with them, because if you rewatch Raw, look at Nia's title. That strap is filthy. Like, it's falling apart. The white straps show dirt so easily. Like, take care of them or get a different color.
Okay, so here's the deal. So I'm with you on that, on getting a different color. But see, if we get into that business of giving colors, like, let's say that they decided to make it hot pink, or you got red for Raw and blue for SmackDown, it's gonna set off this premise like, the women's division doesn't matter. I think they're trying to keep it as generic as possible, in the sense of everybody is on an even kill when it comes to these titles, men and women.
I think silver would work.
Yeah, I think silver would work too. But I mean, but why are you gonna let them go out? I mean, you granted, they polish all of the diamonds and all the shiny parts of it. Why not clean the white straps? Why not make them look like at least presentable? That to me would say, hey, guess what? We're taking pride in our titles. I don't want somebody to go out there with a busted up freaking strap. I mean, even if it was black, I mean, even if you could see the little tatteredness on the blacks. So I don't understand why it wouldn't be the same, with the white titles, And I remember the Intercontinental title that Cody used to wear. Even the Ultimate Warrior back in the early 90s, in the late 80s, early 90s, when he decided to put the white strap on it, and then he had a yellow strap, and then he had a pink strap,
blue,
he had a purple one, and I mean he had
blue.
so many different varieties of it, and it's like
the orange IC belt. You know what I mean? Like,
it at least in my mind that it would make more sense if somebody were to clean them, so this way they aren't looking so trashy.
Random fun belt fact: the old school big gold, the WCW title, back in the day was originally brown.
Yeah.
It turned black because of baby oil. You got to realize how many times Ric Flair had that thing. God knows what else is on that thing.
You know what? Even that old NWA 8 pounds of gold. You know what I'm saying? Or 10 pounds of gold, whatever the hell it is.
10 pounds.
Yeah, 10 pounds of gold. I don't want to know what Ric Flair was doing that up on Space Mountain. You know what I'm saying? Wearing that belt, trying to get his groove on. Nope.
Plane ride from hell. Helicopter.
I mean, I look at it like this. We talk about so many great champions, gentlemen, and here's someone who is a current champion, but my goodness. Jade Cargill, speedy recovery. So Jade Cargill is dealing with a neck injury behind the scenes, and it looks to be quite serious. The best case scenario is that she returns in 3 months. Worst case scenario, she could be out for up to a year, which would put her WrestleMania 41 spot in major doubt. We saw the attack angle who attacked Jade Cargill on SmackDown. But again, it's covering up for a neck injury where, unfortunately, I know a lot of us want to see Jade versus Bianca, but it looks like it's not going to be happening this WrestleMania. So, Paul, I'll start with you. Your thoughts about the Jade Cargill injury?
I think, it's conflicting reports because you have so many people that are saying a variety of things. First, I heard she sprained her MCL.
Right.
And she's just gonna need some time off. Aside from that, she has a bruised rib and a bruised kidney. So she was gonna just take some time off to let that heal and then rehab and be back by Royal Rumble. So you get so many conflicting reports like this one. It says 3 months and then it all of a sudden says a year. So
even that she's not even injured at all.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like I'd like her to come back and like do it be a work, and if she is injured, legit, like maybe just wants to take some time off to heal from whatever injury she has. Cool, take some time off, come back at Royal Rumble, and then like eliminate Bianca. There, we could start that. Let Bianca be like the reason why she's almost there to get that spot again, to get the either like the last 6 or whatever. Jade comes out as one of the entrants, they're fighting or whatever, and she turns, grabs Bianca, throws her over the rope, hence got a feud. Make it make sense though.
Right.
Honestly, to me, everyone's saying, "Oh, they're gonna have it be Bayley," and to me, that's just too obvious. What Triple H seems to be doing lately is less of the obvious. To me, if I was doing it, Charlotte, she's apparently medically cleared. Think about it. Jade comes in, kind of takes Charlotte's spot.
I can see it.
Charlotte as a good guy, as a face, no. Charlotte has always been better as the heel.
Absolutely.
She's her father.
And that's exactly what I was gonna say. I say she's just like her dad.
Like as a face,
than a face.
It's disingenuous. It's disingenuous to me because I know what she's about. It's like, like she's a heel, like, or I would even say neutral. She makes heel look cool. You know what I mean? So, she's medically cleared. Let's wait to see where it goes. We got a couple pay-per-views coming up, so it's gonna be
Saturday
interesting.
night's main event.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, to go on EJ's point, I'm glad that you all of us point this, but I want to mention EJ here. Like, when you look at Charlotte and her being very disingenuous, I remember when they first debuted her on NXT against Bayley, and she was the babyface, and I'm like, first and foremost, right quickly after that, she went to be a heel with Sasha and Summer Rae and their group in NXT, but she's always been great at being that heel. And add on to Dan's point, remember Jade Cargill when she first came in, she had that stare down with Charlotte, so you hinted and planted the seeds like, okay, this is going to be a match that we're going to have in the future. So if it winds up being that Charlotte is the one who took out Jade Cargill because, she took my spot, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was all about me. Everybody's talking about me, not talking about her. I am for that as well. So, I mean, and go on to Dan's point. I mean, I love Bayley. I do. I love Bayley, but something different. And I mean, we got
too obvious.
It'd be too obvious. And now we have, and the Punk. Yeah, Punk makes sense. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm a bit, I love Bayley too, but I'm tired. Like, I'm absolutely tired. Let's, we let Nia go ahead and eat her up and, let that slide, let that marinate for a while. They're going to have to figure something else out. I mean, she's kind of done everything. So it's kind of figuring out how to reinvent herself again. She did the heel Bayley shit. That shit was cool for a year. Damage Control, they was all over. They took everything that wasn't pinned down. And now, now she's kind of back on this face run. I don't know. It's just kind of, it's watered down to me.
I mean, as long as she doesn't come back looking like Sally Jesse Raphael, ding dong, hello, I'm happy wearing those grandma.
With the Karen haircut.
Karen haircut. Oh my goodness. Well,
oh God, please.
Well, speaking of please, yes, please, begging like James Brown over here. Sean
Ross Sapp,
please. So, to quote Sean Ross Sapp here, Pentagon's deal with AEW is expected to be up next week. Oh my God! If he goes to WWE, Pentagon Jr. versus Santos Escobar. Yes, please. So we'll start with EJ on this, Mr. Charismatic Amigo here. Your thoughts on Pentagon Jr. Deals up next week. WWE by himself, him and Santos Escobar. The seeds being planted there of Lucha Underground right there, baby. Your thoughts on Pentagon Jr.
I cannot wait. I want to see Penta in the best main event spot possible. And with Santos, this is going to be a burner, fellas.
Oh, yeah.
Paul?
Hey, you know what? I just want to see him in WWE, and what he does is just work with whoever he's going to work with. I'd love to see him and Finn Balor go at it.
Oh my God.
That's just me personally, because I know that they could probably bust each other's ass. Give me him and Dominic Mysterio.
Hell yeah.
That's one I would love to see too.
Ilya Dragunov.
Ooh, another one.
I didn't even think about Dragunov. Okay, you know what? Yeah, my mind
when Homeboy gets better, gets back.
You know what? And he's a veteran. That's what makes Pentagon very much different from
right.
Sticking him in NXT. Yeah, you probably could do that, but dude's a veteran. Stick him on the main roster. If you don't throw him on SmackDown, throw him on Raw. He can have such great matches with Dragunov. I mean, I think him. Yeah.
I mean, you could book him with Andrade too. That's a factor you could play with.
And that's another person he has history with too.
Exactly. That's what it just all depends. What they got for him.
All righty. Well, who we got for, and we've been talking about this, and we're gonna play this first before. Before we get to the Uncle Dave portion of the show, which we're gonna start.
Yeah.
We're going to start with that boy, Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks voiced his frustrations over in GCW. He came down the escalator, you know what I'm saying? And, Ricky Starks had some things to say. The excerpt was, "One thing about me, passion runs through my blood, and I will be damned if I sit at home and get frozen out. I'll be damned if I sit at home and let my career dwindle. He will be in action at House of Glory in January after the holidays." So let's get into Ricky Starks, the absolute Ricky Starks, dare I say, stroke daddy. Let's see what he has to say.
I think everybody wants a statement from old Ricky Starks, huh? Well, the statement is I'm standing right here in the middle of a GCW ring. And I got a lot of things that I want to get off of my chest. But I want to say first and most importantly, damn, it feels good to be right here back in New Jersey.
Says nobody ever.
There was exactly a time when I beat a certain straight edge superstar and I won the Owen Hart tournament, and I came out here and I talked to every single one of you. And before that, I sat in the back biting my nails because I didn't think that anybody would really accept absolute Ricky Starks. And man, did you prove me wrong. And you proved me wrong one more time when I came down the escalator. One thing about me, passion runs through my blood, and I will be damned if I sit at home and I get frozen out. I'll be damned if I sit at home and let my career dwindle. I am 34 years old. I'm healthy. I am goddamn good looking. And most importantly, I am a generational superstar. I am in control every step of the way. I do what I want. I say what I want. I dress how I want. And if you don't like that, you can kiss my black ass. One thing that is important about me, I'm going to come back to where I came from in the very beginning. And why not start in one of the hottest promotions right now, GCW.
Hell to the yeah. Oh,
You know what? Give me this man a spot in the Royal Rumble as a fucking just some surprise entrant, or give me him attacking Ethan Page in NXT.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's Cody's boy. That's Cody's homie right there. He went to WrestleMania last year, and you know he was out there cheering for Cody. So I know he's got close ties with Cody, and I know Triple H, unlike Vince, knows about Ricky Starks. So I think I would like to for him just to say, you know what, fuck it, fuck you, Tony, I'm out of here, because he's not doing anything in AEW. He's not. He's just getting paid to sit at home.
He was on Saturday.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
He was there.
How do you mess this up though? Like Dan said, he was backstage at Full Gear, but I'm like, Tony, how do you mess this up? This guy can talk, he's got charisma, he can wrestle, he is the ultimate package, but you just let him sit. But then we got Chris Jericho's ass on our flipping TV talk with the learning tree talking about hi guys.
No, that was Mike Tyson on Netflix.
Oh, damn. Okay,
Oh
Dan.
man.
Oh, dude.
That was bad. That was bad.
That was bad. Okay. So I will actually turn it over to Dan. I will turn it over to Dan, Mr. Mike Tyson on Netflix over here. What are your thoughts on Ricky Starks' promo at GCW?
Honestly, I loved it, and it got me to thinking, like, all these rumors of him, you know, on the out in AEW, is he really, though? Like, was this part of him going back to AEW? And honestly, after that promo and all the how many times it's been, I've seen it on TikTok and YouTube, and and calling himself a generational talent, that's an MJF line.
Yep. Yes, it is. I mean,
so
him and
is he
MJF.
waiting out the rest of his contract, or is he, you know, did Tony kind of see this and be like, come back to me, I'll pay you.
Come back and I'll pay you.
So
I mean, okay. Let's say for instance, he jumps on the Twitter machine or Blue Sky, or just to say social media in general.
Yeah.
Let's say he jumps on social media in general and says, you know what, I'm just going to wait out my contract. You know, pretty much like, and he says his destination is WWE. Is Tony Khan going to do this exact same thing he did with
Ray Phoenix?
With Ray Phoenix.
Yep.
Is he? You know, I don't know. Is he?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Because he's paid.
I think he, after losing the machine guns, and it was even said, Tony never seriously approached them. I think Tony just thought that he had it in the bag. But I think if Ricky's smart, he's gonna, and I think any AEW talent that's looking to jump, I'm looking at you, Malachi Black. If you're looking to leave AEW, you are gonna keep your mouth shut. Because the second you piss in Tony's cornflakes, if you've been injured at all, I guarantee you he's tacking on time.
Oh yeah, he pulled the whole Ray Phoenix thing. That's a prime example of that.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
Hurt because he lost the machine guns to WWE, and it was reported that Lucha Bros were signing with WWE. He thought, not happening. Yep. He was being a petty little bitch.
So now you got guys like Ray Phoenix who had to sit in purgatory for another fucking year, or however long his contract is supposed to be, and now we're stuck.
Yep.
With Penta having to go off on his own,
and he's already said he won't. He doesn't want to.
Right.
Now, I will go on to both of your points here, and EJ, I'll get your thoughts on this because I look at it like this. I mentioned MJF and Ricky Starks, like Daniel mentioned, that's an MJF line with the generational talent. The problem that I have is the only time they wrestled was when MJF was the World's Heavyweight Championship about a few years ago. And the problem was it was just like a throwaway match. Like they had that great back and forth exchange, but then we just had the match and that was it. You know what I'm saying? If we could get more out of it than just the throwaway, I'm happy with it. But I got to ask you, Mr. EJ, your thoughts on Ricky Starks' promo at GCW and the fact that Tony Khan has his head up his ass. I'm like, hey, man, put my ass on TV. Find something for him. If you can't find something for me, then just let me go.
I love it. You know what I'm saying? He ripped the Band-Aid right off. He got right down to business. Like, hey, I've been sitting on the shelf for this long. I'm healthy. I'm ready to go. And you guys don't have anything for me. You know what I'm saying? And what am I supposed to do here? Like you said, he's 34 years old. This is prime time cooking right here. Mm-hmm. He should be a world champion somehow, somewhere, some way. Like you said, he's got the mic skills. He's got the fortitude to back everything up. You know, it's great. I love Ricky Stark. I've been following that guy since NWA. So it's like, what do? You know, how do you let that slip through your fingers? It's no different than what I said about Bobby Lashley. You let that guy sit on the shelf and just cook and do absolutely nothing until his contract ran out. And now he's in AEW. And there's a good possibility that this Hurt Syndicate is going to go all the way over. So at this point, my question to you guys is, if Ricky Starks was to go ahead and, for example, hit WWE, do you repackage him? Do you keep him exactly the same?
I keep him exactly the same. I put him in NXT. We mentioned Ethan Page. He could do a lot of great work in NXT with a Trick Williams. The back and forth between those two have so much great charisma with one another. If you put him on NXT, he will shine. You need more faces for the CW brand. And being one of the faces of the CW brand, my goodness.
I think
that would be one of them for me. That would exactly be one of them for me. You know, and I mentioned possibly Penta going to NXT again, another face that would actually work on in NXT. And I get it. The men's roster is, I don't want to say it's depleted, but there are more women on the roster. If you watch the shows, you're getting more women on the show than you are men at this point. So you don't really have, unless you put like Obafemi and you move them into the main roster, or not on the main roster, up to the elite level of NXT into the World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Your mid card for your men is pretty much not there. I mean, what, Ridge Holland? Ridge Holland is becoming a star, and without even knowing he's becoming a star.
Oh, yeah, and he's worked his butt off, I mean, to get to that spot. I know everybody's like, oh, God, it's Ridge Holland going for the NXT championship. But I'm like, if you watch the Andre Chase match and the emotional investment that crowd had for the babyface Chase U establishment from 2022 to 2024, and people were legitimately crying that Andre Chase lost on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That's how you know you're over. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I would put them there. I would see Pentagon, Ricky Starks, everybody there. And someone who else I want to see there, which segues, because this woman has been on Shimmer. We've seen her do her thing in Shine. We've seen her on TNA. We've seen her in AEW, but most importantly now, Kylie Ray is the newest signee to the WWE ID program. About doggone time. And Mr. Charisma, I will let you start on this one. Your thoughts on Kylie Ray? That girl's a part of WWE ID.
Well, welcome aboard. It's been a long time coming, and it's one of those things where she's wrestled everywhere. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you got to go ahead and she's got to get the money now. You know what I mean? Like, get it while it's hot. You know, her stock is high right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's in her 30s, and I mean, she's been wrestling for a long time too. And I mean, I believe she's in her early 30s too. So she's still got a lot of time left in her career.
But I'm just saying her stock right now.
Yeah.
You already know once you come to WWE, it's like a car getting off the lot. It's gonna lose. It's gonna depreciate in value real fast. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying like she better strike while the iron's hot. They better have something for her. Because I don't want to see her just fall into the background and be sitting at catering like some of these other superstars that we see who should be out here playing the game like everybody else.
Yeah, I go back to what I said about NXT, and it's like their women's roster is so fucking hot right now. It's just literally like you get so many talented women on that roster that adding her to it would just bolster it even that much more.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think when I look at a woman like Kylie Ray, I mean, she's had her ups and downs in her career. I mean, it's been well documented, but I think at this time, she's a mom now. She's done what she needs to do and taking care of herself and being a part of this. And she gets to work under the best umbrella, especially when it comes to Performance Center and a lot of the girls that are there now. I think it's perfect. And I think this WWE ID program shines a lot of light to the indies and a lot of great talents there. And I think they're in the next step up, much like they did with the NIL program. So, I mean, I'm here for it. Daniel, what are your thoughts on that girl, Kylie Ray? Smiley Kylie Ray.
It's really nice to see her in a good place. She went through some shit, as someone that has struggled with mental health issues, it can be a real monster. And to see her in a good place, I mean, I'd kind of like to see her in the Royal Rumble this year.
That would be fire.
Ooh, that would be fire.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to be in there very long.
But an appearance. Yeah. Now,
I think it's like you said, if she's going to do it, the time is now.
Now's the time.
You're in your 30s. The clock is ticking.
Right. Now, I'm curious to see now how old Kylie Ray is. So, Kylie Ray, as of right now, she is my age. She's 32.
See, look at you. Y'all youngsters, man. That's it. I feel old now.
I was waiting for
That's it. I'm going to go to the old folks home right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go grab my cane and I'm gonna go to the old folks home.
Go ahead, EJ.
I said I'm a 40-piece, fellas. You know what I mean? So
I love it.
Piece. I got more miles behind me than ahead of me. Feel me? So.
Oh my goodness! All
See,
right.
This is why I love EJ, because EJ a little bit younger than me, but I don't give a shit because he's still a young cat. Unlike our boy Dan, they some youngsters.
Youngsters.
A little bit.
Look, I got 48. I'm gonna turn 49 in January, so I'm way over y'all.
Oh my goodness. All right, Joe. Let's go into, speaking of old heads, and this is not one of the old heads, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered into the Uncle Dave hour. And we'll get to Survivor Series in full gear. So this was last week. So Uncle Dave, as we know, AEW and NXT again. NXT did about 672,000 viewers last week and 640,000 for AEW. So Dave Meltzer, of course, has to make the excuse of why AEW is the way it is. So he wrote, AEW did 640K, 0.20 in the demographic, beat everything on cable but NBA on ESPN and Fox News. And then to follow up from that is what even gets it better on this one, because Dave replied back to someone who said, didn't beat NXT though. And Dave Meltzer wrote, silly goose, silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. NXT did great, but 0.20 on the cable is a lot better than 0.19 on network. Dave. Paul,
right.
Go ahead.
Stop it.
Stop. You gotta hold on. You know what, EJ, go.
Okay.
Nah, Listen, nah. Mm-mm. Because listen,
Sorry, Ken.
listen, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. Look, fuck this dude. Like, I'm so, and I don't mean to say it like that, but I'm just kind of, I'm over it. Come on, dude. Like, just at this point, just let it marinate, my dude. Just have a seat somewhere. You know, we're gonna sit your ass at the kiddie table. You keep running your mouth like this. You know what I mean? I enough's enough. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta go. Paul, handle it, man. I can't. I can't do it, bro. I can't.
Fucking, you know what? You know what it is that it's just grumpy old Dave. He's fucking it's like he ain't got nothing else better to do. He wants to compare this with that. You know, he can't come to his senses. The fact that yes, sports happens. Yes, other shit happens in the world. You know what happens with breaking news? What happens with an earthquake somewhere, a tsunami somewhere? You're gonna get sports outlets, you know, news outlets, you know, reporting on that. Dave, just state the fact that AEW is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's because Tony doesn't bring in enough people to watch the damn shows. Just say it. We'll say it out loud for you. Tony can't promote his shit, so there aren't enough people watching. There, I said it. You could say it's because of cable and they're on network television and all the other bullshit, yada, 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 yada. But it ain't going to make a fucking difference. People are going to watch what they want to fucking watch. Point blank. Okay, my rant's over.
No, you're fine. And I'll get everybody on this. And Daniel, I saved this one for you too as well, because I know how you feel. And EJ with the kiddie table, first of all.
Or should I say, oh God.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Shockmaster style. Now EJ, I gotta say the kiddie table analogy, that was amazing. That really popped me. I like your style. So we're gonna get to more of Charisma's style here on this one. So all right, so Dave replies back to a gentleman by the name of Joe Delbuso, and he wrote, no, AEW lost because they don't cater to casual wrestling fans, and that's old something Dave seems as 5 stars isn't necessarily something a random dude from Hoboken or Winnipeg might see. The same way, WWE has a much bigger market share and audience to work with. Casual wrestling fans have a certain amount of time to dedicate to this each week. They'll obviously pick what they've used to. So that is a perfect response back to Dave. Very eloquent, very straight to the point, boom. But Dave, and here's where he gets my blood boiling. Oh, you didn't know? No, he didn't say that. Oh, you heard a podcaster who has no clue about history of number 2 promotions historically. They were either misleading you or lying. Also, WWE doesn't cater to casuals either. We'll get to that. Their booking is assuming everyone is a regular weekly viewer. The only promotion that caters to casuals is CMLL. Hi, Dave. WWE does video packages. When Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson challenged Bianca and Jade for the WWE SmackDown tag titles, they did a video package highlighting who the hell they are before it. They highlight, then video. They did a one with Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria last week to highlight these women to be in prominent positions on their roster, while AEW is just like, oh, here they are. Oh, you don't know who they are? Then fuck you. They are the Ricky Bobby of professional wrestling. You don't chew Big Red? Then fuck you. That's literally what AEW has become in the pop culture sense. But this one over here with the WWE don't apply to casuals. Oh, God, Davey sucks.
Right. Man, this is just a nice way of him saying that I'm in my fucking feelings and I need my diaper changed, because it's dumb. I'm like, dude, like you're really taking time out to get on people's heads online. You don't have nothing else better to do. We've made that coin phrase this whole podcast. Doesn't have anything else better to do. You know, but now you want to panhandle and say, oh, it's just because of this, it's because of that. No, it's 100%. They're not marketing right. And it's the byproduct right here. You can make as many excuses as you like, but it doesn't change fact. When you don't promote your brand like you're supposed to, you're going to lose every time.
Paul?
Yeah, Dan. I see your frustration. I see you going like this, and I see you touching your face, and I know that's just you having all these thoughts that run through your head, and I'm just like, I'm going to pass on this, and I'm going to give it to my boy Dan.
I cannot deal with fucking Meltzer, and you know if it's not this, it's the bullshit fucking match rating system. Like that means a good goddamn.
Yep.
5-star matches. Great. Who the fuck cares? Who's gonna remember who had a 5-star match in Hoboken, New Jersey, fucking 10 years ago? Who's gonna remember that
Dan,
shit? Who
but
cares?
Dan, here's the deal.
Does it
When
make you
you
money?
have to, no, it nothing. And my whole thing is when you feel like you've set the bar and you set the tone for so long, that's the reason why you move the way that you move. You feel like you it's almost like an entitlement issue to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I'm established, I'm Dave Meltzer, blah, 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 blah. I have, the inside tip on why things should run the way that they should run. It's 2024, fellas, 2025 now. Like, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many avenues, there's so many openings, there's so many different things that we could watch other than WWE, other than TNA. There's so many different ways that people are marketing to get over. He needs to start. He just needs to stop. Just stop. You know what I mean? Just relax.
Exactly. Stop.
Take a Xanax.
Tony really needs to stop worrying about what fucking Dave Meltzer thinks.
Right.
Worry about growing your fucking business, making the best product possible. And Paul, you and Mike and I, we have mentioned the past several weeks, their crowds have been absolute dog shit.
Right.
Atrocious.
It's been abysmal, fellas. And it's tough to watch.
It is. And this leads us to now Full Gear and the final Dave Meltzer. Now, this is from Meltzer Says What. We will put this into the forefront. Dave and Brian talk about the largely dead crowded AEW Full Gear outside of the Costco and Osprey matches and a few sequences in various matches. This is what Dave and Brian had to say, and we are all going to talk about our overall thoughts on Full Gear.
And then they won at the end, and the crowd wasn't great for this match. They hated Caster, but other than that, there was like a lot of moments where they were just watching. This was not a great crowd on Dynamite or this show. And every now and then they get up for something, and they were like super into the Osprey match. But this match here was like they were quiet for a lot of it.
No, these guys had to work up and down the card, except for AJ and Osprey, and really, I think everyone else really had to work hard for a reaction.
And then they.
I mean, hey now, that's very, very true. I mean, I also got to give credit to Big Boom AJ because that man literally wrestled with a broken foot before we even got to that point, man. Like, for real. Like
AJ Angle.
Yep, AJ Angle. Jesus. Right. Like, stuff like that, man. Like, I give him so much credit for what he did. Like, it's amazing to see. And besides, yes, that match was silly, but you had the Rizzler out there with his Rizzler face doing his thing. You had Paul White protecting him. You had him hit the power boom. And a guy who has been on the indies from the 90s to 2005, like, the dude is in shape. He worked his butt off, and it was fine for what it was. Much like we see Logan Paul and everyone from the celebrity side of things or the viral moments. Like, he put the work in. Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher had a great match, the Battle of the Former Brubs. They are invested in that because Kyle Fletcher gave himself a new look. He shaved his head. He's just, dissipating himself from Will Ospreay. So there's many things that we get to enjoy from those particular presentations of those matches. So I got to ask you, and Paul, we'll start with you on this one, your overall thoughts on Full Gear, your takeaways and whatnot. Go ahead.
I was trying to figure out which match stood out to me. And it was literally the only one that actually really I enjoyed watching. Mina Shirokova.
Yep.
And Mariah May.
Yep.
Why? Because we saw Mariah May think that she was going to get over on Mina. And what did Mina do? Mina literally caught her right when she was going to get hit with the damn bottle. Literally, they fought, and she got her hit her off the stage. And it was literally them two in this story, and everybody was pretty much at that point was like, was this ever going to happen? Were we ever going to get Mariah May to turn on Mina? And we got it. Is this part of a story? Hey, cool, great. We finally got a story for Mariah. Are we eventually going to? And there were so many people that were waiting to see Toni Storm come out. After what she said last week, saying that she was going to retire. Well, everybody was waiting for it to happen, and it never happened. But we did get the turn, and we did see Mina and and Mariah have their interaction. I thought that was great. Okay, maybe Will Ospreay. I think it's like the same match that they had the last time they wrestled. That's what it seemed like. So but this crowd looked like it was just so drained of energy.
5 hours. This is what you do from starting at 6:30 and ending at 4:30. 5 hours of freaking
It
wrestling.
looked like, and they literally had like very little reaction to any of the matches. So you could tell me on whether I'm wrong, but Denise said the exact same thing. Our girl, shout out to our girl Denise Salcedo. She said the exact same thing. Her and Righteous Reg both said the exact same thing. This crowd seemed dead throughout most of the damn pay-per-view. So
I mean, what does that tell you when Ricochet and Kenosuke had the catch to go out there and nobody gave a rat's ass? They sat on their hands for a Ricochet match against Kenosuke Takeshita, a match that wasn't even announced on the Dynamite broadcast. It was announced on Twitter, and I'm like, what? Why do you freaking announce that on Twitter? What the hell's wrong with you? You had prominence. You told the story of Ricochet pinned him, and he didn't get pinned at Wrestle Dream, and then you're just like, oh, by the way, here it is on Twitter. We're going to announce this. That's the problem. You didn't have the right build-up in the advertisement side of things, and then when it comes to the match time, everybody's like, because we're already into the thing, and we mentioned it's almost 5 hours. Nobody gave a rat's ass about Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia. Like, we're getting deep into the show, and people are tired. It's like WrestleMania 32, and by the time we got to Roman and Triple H, it was like midnight, 12:30 East Coast time.
We don't talk about those.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's just like, come on now. It's like, this is what he's doing in these 5
yeah,
hours.
we don't talk about Bruno.
No, we don't. And it's tiresome. And EJ, I'll go to you next, EJ. Your thoughts and your takeaways from Full Gear.
Okay. So, overall, I thought it was okay. I do got a question, fellas. Were you guys a little bit confused at the ending with Mox? Because I was a little. My head was spinning. I got Jay White. I got Jay White out here. And then I got Christian out here. They're figuring out who's going to fight or who's not going to fight. Is he going to cash in? Is he not?
I'll go on my
and then it kind of just faded out. And I'm kind of like,
what
the fuck? I was like, sorry, I don't mean to say it like that, fellas, but I was just kind of very, very confused.
No apologies needed here.
EJ, we over here cussing like crazy. So so why the fuck are you telling us to you apologizing fucking for? Look, we fucking cuss here. We fucking cuss because we fucking cuss. Don't be trying to fucking apologize for shit.
We're grown ass men on this show, gosh darn it. But no, EJ, to your point, I'm gonna save my rant for last because this made my head explode. So I'm gonna go to Dan. Good.
Yeah, I was just totally spinning, fellas, on that. I was like, where are we going with this? Like, there's nothing going on. Like, the match is over. I'm thinking, okay, Mox, you're gonna step out of the ring, and then I'll say this last part.
Yeah.
This Wheeler Yuta shit bugs me. They treat him like he's a little chicken shit. You know, you got I can't remember who it was that was talking to Wheeler Yuta, but Wheeler Yuta's like, I'm not this, and Claudio's telling him shut up. I'm like, nah, this ain't it.
He's just sitting there taking it like, oh yeah, I'll shut up. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. But when they ain't around, I'll be talking. I'll be talking.
Again. Right. Exactly. So yeah, I thought, it was very, very confusing to me that whole finish. That it didn't make sense. I didn't know what to do there. And then, like I said, it just it just closed out. And I was just kind of wondering, like, okay, maybe we'll get more explained at Dynamite. I don't know. But
me,
Dan, man, there you go, Dan. Take it, bro.
I mean, the show was fine. It was it their best pay-per-view? No. Was it their worst? No. But
it was just a 5-hour episode of Dynamite.
Yep.
The ending felt like something from like a Monday Night Raw where it's like it randomly ends. You're just like, oh,
right.
Like this is what we're like. The ending should have been Mox standing tall in the middle of the ring with his crew,
right,
and like just bodies all over. That should have been the end.
What we got was watching.
You know what? And maybe a pan to like maybe either a suite or like Christian Cage just come out on the stage and just standing there, just like holding the briefcase or holding whatever it is, and knowing that he's next. I wouldn't have minded that. And but all this other extracurricular stuff, I don't. I give the boys from Wrestle Talk, all the props for trying to analyze this as to the whole ending of it. But literally, the entire shit made no sense. Maybe to them it did, but to us as even like the casual fans are just probably looking at it like, okay, so why is he out there? Why is he out there? Why is this guy over here? And why is this guy shouting at this other guy if they're on the same team?
And they're having this argument back and forth. No, you're not going to cash in. Oh, I'm going to cash in. What the fuck are we doing? The fuck are we doing?
All right.
Best booker ever.
Booker of the
Yes,
year.
I'll pay you.
Pay you. First of all,
Mercedes, come to my company. I'll pay you.
What I'm going to say about this Mercedes even before I give my
Oh God.
the match with Chris Statlander. It was what it was. I think Chris Statlander looked fine. I think she carried Mercedes. I think Mercedes in this retire run in AEW, the only matches that I've enjoyed have been Willow Nightingale and Stephanie Vaquera. But then again, Willow did her thing and Stephanie Vaquera did her thing. But it's like, this has been such a bust for me. And everybody's like on Twitter, oh, you don't be talking about my queen. They try to drag her name. And then you just want to be like this and talk about how Mercedes can't go. Yeah, because she's in the ring with someone who's young and who's very vital, who's strong, who's statuesque, and she can work. So of course,
and who are better wrestlers than she is.
Oh,
exactly. Better wrestlers than she is. And she's holding these belts hostage, fellas. She's holding these belts hostage. I got no
to me, it just seemed like it seems like she's just there. She's just there to do what she's doing, for the sake of just doing what she's doing. There's nothing that makes no sense to me.
And what are we doing with Camille, y'all? First of all, Camille is listen. I gotta ask, because my whole thing is Camille, dude. NWA holding titles for 600-700 days, and you got her literally wincing at Mercedes saying, "You're fucking up." The last time I checked, Camille was steamrolling these bitches, fellas. Steamrolling. Just book them, Dano, all day long.
She signed with the wrong fucking company.
Tony flies by the seat of his pants. Like, this woman.
I'll pay you.
I'll pay you. This woman literally has had like 5 matches. She loses immediately to Chris Statlander. Now, all of a sudden, it's like when Moose first came into TNA in 2016, and he's a heel, but everybody's shitting him because he's a babyface. Then 2 months later, him and Mike Bennett, who he was Mike Bennett's bodyguard, they fight at Bound for Glory. Now, this is just like, this ain't even Shawn and Diesel. Shawn and Diesel built for like a year and a half going to WrestleMania 11. Now we got Camille, who's like taller and more and much like in size and stature than friggin' Mercedes, and all of a sudden, like EJ said, she's wincing, and then it's like we're already teasing the breakup when they've only been together for like a month or 2, and it's just like whatever. It's like the Chris Statlander thing made no sense because she's trying to say, oh, we were done with her, Stokely and I did our thing. It was like a handshake agreement, and she tried to make sense of the fact that she turned babyface out of nowhere, like she had an epiphany, like just one day I'm going to wake up and I'm tired of my heel-to-heelish ways. I'm all of a sudden good now. So the way that they booked this, he books himself into a corner because he has no idea what the hell he's doing. And that brings me to the main event segment, because to follow up with EJ here, his point was like, okay, so we do this and whatnot, and Orange Cassidy feeling bad for Wheeler Yuta and the whole Cesaro, Claudio telling them to shut up, when it's like literally Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta were together for a cup of coffee together and the best friends because they just introduced, oh, by the way, here's my friend Wheeler, here's my boy Yuta. And since Trent Beretta got hurt at the time, and he was in the best friends for a cup of coffee before he joined the Black Combat Club. So there's no continuity there. And then you have friggin' Moxley, they're doing the stuff, and here comes Hangman Adam Page, and it's like, wait a minute, he's a heel. Like, what the fuck are we doing? And then here comes Christian, because all of a sudden they're buddy-buddy after teaming twice on friggin' Dynamite. And then Christian's like, hey, man, I'll give you the first title shot if you let me cash in. And then Adam Page is like, okay, here you go, kind sir.
Coming from fucking nowhere, like an RKO. I'm like, please make it make sense.
It doesn't. And then Jay White comes out, and then he's going at Christian like, you see, I told you I'd get you because, hey, remember that time when the friggin' patriarchy and the Bang Bang Gang fought for the Trios Championship? No. And then
Literally, remember what happened
It
at
doesn't
Baghdad.
make
That's
sense.
what it is.
doesn't make any sense. And then we get to the back, and then Darby Allin's mess. So he literally is in the car, doesn't even use like a stuntman or nothing. He drives that car, boom, right into their car. And then they got into the white van. Who's driving the white van? Like WCW, who was driving the white Hummer? And then Darby Allin gets out, slips getting onto the car, mind you, is cut from the glass, he's bleeding. And then he takes his skateboard and he's smashing it. And then he's like, come on, let's finish this. And the pay-per-view goes off the air. And then you're looking like, what the hell did I just watch?
Again, I got the boys at Wrestle Talk trying to explain to their audience exactly what happened. And you want to know what? It made me even more fucking confused.
Exactly.
No offense to the boys at Wrestle Talk, but goddamn, y'all made me so confused of trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because I was confuzzled watching it, and y'all make it even more confuzzled just trying to explain it. And literally, it makes no sense. And to me, it was like shit that didn't need to happen happened. It's like to continue everything, and then all of a sudden it fades to black, and then nothing. No explanation, no nothing. It's just like, all right, so what's next?
There was no beginning, there was no middle, and there was no end. And my whole thing is,
and the match was fucking half-assed. That's just me though. The match was like half-assed. Why wasn't Moxley looking like he was more like he was trying to be more dominant, and he wasn't. It was like all Orange Cassidy and then like a little bit of John Moxley.
And I mean the proverbial breaks off of Orange Cassidy. This should have been lambs to the slaughter. Listen, the minute he came to the ring, Orange Cassidy should have been dead, fellas. This should have been dead man walking. He should have walked in and cleaned him up. Do you remember when Shelton beat up on Leo Rush? That's what that should have been.
Yeah, and he just squashed Leo Rush. Oh yeah, absolutely.
He just wore on Leo Rush. Poor Leo Rush. He just wore on him. Wore on that kid. That's what that match should have been.
I'll use Michael's word. Mollywopped.
Exactly. Yeah, he mollywopped him. It's like when Sheamus was the heel in 2009. Remember when he beat Cena for the title in the tables match? And then he's like, my first opponent. We're gonna main event. We're gonna give this kid an opportunity, Zack Ryder, and then he squashes Zack Ryder in like 10 seconds.
Right.
That's what you should do. Something like that.
One bro kick. And called it.
And called it. Yes. But Tony doesn't like doing squash matches. Everybody has to be, 80-20 or 90-10 or whatever. I made this example, EJ, to the guys last week. It's like when Chris Jericho is fighting friggin' Peter Avalon for 15 minutes on Dynamite. Peter Avalon is a job guy, is an enhancement talent. He should not be having problems beating Peter Avalon. Like, what the hell are we doing? But Tony's like, we got to give everybody a chance. Kumbaya.
Yeah, that match went 12 minutes too long.
12 minutes
Here's
too
the
long.
thing.
Yeah.
You call this group the Death Riders. You might as well call them the Leftovers.
Now, the reason why I hate it, and I said it on Max, and I'll say it on this show. So the general consensus of this gimmick, for those that don't know why, the Death Riders, and this is not your company anymore. John Moxley got this idea from a 1992 film starring Russell Crowe called Romper Stomper, which is a film based in Australia, and the main characters, Russell Crowe and his group, are neo-Nazis. So pretty much he's quoting Hitler. He quoted Mussolini. This gimmick is based off a Romper Stomper movie where Russell Crowe and his group are neo-Nazis. That's literally what this is, and that makes me hate it even more.
Come on, Dan, tell me what you thought of it.
It should have, and it should have ended with Mox just beating the ever-living dog shit out of him. And here's an idea: referee stoppage.
There you go.
Like, he's not answering. The referee just comes in, doesn't even check, and just says, all right, you know what? No, we're done. It makes Mox look like a bigger threat. Now he's
lukewarm, fellas.
Yeah.
He's lukewarm.
He's Dean Ambrose again.
Right.
Wow. I didn't think about that one.
Him wearing that weird ass jacket, him setting all of the Shield memorabilia on fire inside of the can. That's what that felt like to me. I'm like, It doesn't make sense.
All he needs is a gas mask back on his face.
That'll be this week.
I'm saying, listen, you don't play with your food, fellas. You eat it.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, and I love Orange Cassidy, fellas. I do. I love that dude. But If you're gonna put him in a match with Mox, and Mox and his crew have literally been running Ramshot for the last 3-4 weeks now, 5 weeks now, since they've come around, and they pack Brian out, they put him to sleep, they put a Ziploc bag over his head, make him stop breathing. You've done all these maniacal things. Now all of a sudden you walk in and Orange Cassidy, you struggling, bro? Come on, man. You struggling?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make sense to me. And then, like I said, all the like Paul was saying, all the other shenanigans that played with it, I was so confused. My head hurt. I said, okay, I've been watching wrestling since as long as I can remember. I never seen so much complication in a segment in my life. Even in WWE, like there's been complications, but this just hit different. It just very confusing. Didn't know who was driving.
It's nothing like that WCW Vince Russo era, you know.
No.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, bro.
Let me tell you, bro.
It's like Goldberg breaking the glass and cutting his arm up, and now he's bleeding all over the fucking place, and he's some tough guy and nearly loses his arm. That's what that felt like, and to me, that's what it equivalated to for me. I just said, I'm good. I'm out.
Same Goldberg that knocked himself out when he wrestled Taker.
Yep, exactly.
It's the same old shenanigans, fellas. I'm like, dude, this is paint drying. Like I just the watch of it. I'm like, come on, dude. Like y'all got to come up with something that's going to keep my attention.
Leave it to Tony Khan to do some dumb shit.
This is why their ratings are going down. Where like a year or two ago, they were in the 800,000s and people were invested. Now we're down to 600,000.
Now I know why the Bucks got out. Now I know why the Bucks got out. They said, we're taking a break. We're going to get this money. We're going to run you these tag titles back, and we're going to live off the leg of the land. That's what you're supposed to do.
Go for it, Dan.
Big Show.
The big problem here is nothing is going to change until the fans demand it change.
And we thought this would be their hard reset.
But it
we literally thought after everything, and what it's looking like is like, I agree with EJ and you guys too as well. It should have been just one of those, like, I'm going to beat the shit out of them, leave them fucking bloody in the ring. This probably would have been a hell of a lot better for that whole thing that they did with Bryan Danielson, and they put him inside of a body bag, threw the bag over his head, and tried to pretty much kill him, on live TV. That would have been like a squash match. Do that, boom, everything end in like 10 minutes, and that would have been perfectly fine because it would have made sense because you're trying to make them dominant.
Man, I would have got home for dinner.
Right.
Give me 5 minutes. Get right home for dinner. Okay.
I think the last thing I'll add to it, and this is one other match that I got to take away before we give our analysis of Survivor Series and we take this show home, fellas. I'm going to say this. MJF and Roddy, very, very like whatever. It was just there. And I hate this storyline because it's ass effing backwards. Like MJF got the Revenge at Dynasty, and now all of a sudden Adam Cole and Roddy and the Undisputed Kingdom are baby faces when they are the ones who took him out with the damn mask at the Devil Mask last year. And we're going to do this with MJF and Adam Cole a year later. But MJF being the heel, and now we got Kyle O'Reilly, who's in the conglomeration, but he's also over here, who last year last year Kyle O'Reilly was beefing with Roderick Strong because Kyle O'Reilly didn't want to join the Undisputed Kingdom, but now everybody's buddy again. And then Kyle O'Reilly's like, this is the reason it's your fault that Roddy's taking out because you're obsessed with MJF. And I'm like, this friggin' another storyline that's all over the place, and we did a 180 because the Undisputed Kingdom and Adam Cole are not baby faces. They're the heels. MJF is the baby face, but then they flipped it, reversed it. Oh, God, it stinks. So I want to ask y'all about this, and I'll start with you, EJ, because we talked about the back-ass awkwardness. Your thoughts on the back-ass awkwardness of MJF and Roderick Strong?
One question, fellas. Where the hell is Bobby Fish? I mean,
like Bobby Fish, I know left, but it's like if you bring Bobby Fish back into this, that could make sense, and then you have the Undisputed Era back. But yeah,
well, that's why they're not going to do it. It would make sense.
Exactly.
Exactly that. I mean, like I said, like Mike said, it's like we're watching everything backwards.
Yep.
It's sorry.
You're fine.
Adam Cole, he's just shell of himself, fellas. Love the guy, but he's a shell of himself.
Like when he was in the Undisputed Era running NXT with
Oh
Bobby
my God!
Oh, it was fantastic.
Right, it was fantastic. Him running that thing, and it was beautiful. And now it just looks like
Whatever.
like the train wreck you see on the side of the road that you can't stop looking at as you roll by, and people are honking at you because you're going too slow. That's what that feels like.
And then Kyle O'Reilly distanced himself, and he's in the conglomeration, but he can't help it because these guys are my friends. But I'm like, y'all were beefing last year, but now we're all buddy.
Adam!
Arms around each other, drinking beers.
Yeah,
You know, and
I don't get it. But yeah, Paul, you want to take it from here on MJF and Roddy before we get to Survivor Series?
It was I'm with DC, man. I mean, the show was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't fabulous. I mean, I had my moments to where I said, I liked Mina and Mariah, everything that happened with them, but everything else was pretty much, it was a long 5-hour episode of Dynamite.
All righty. And speaking of something that won't be long, and we can actually sink our teeth into, excuse me. And before we play the CM Punk behind the scenes, as it is the 1-year anniversary of Punk, I'm just going to run through the Survivor Series War Games that we have for this Saturday.
You got to say it right, Michael.
War Games!
War Games!
So we have
Maybe
5.
Bring him back for just to say it one time.
Right.
I know, man. Get him from back out of the freaking out of the gorilla position just to come out and say War Games. Ooh, open War Games with him saying War Games.
War Games. Yes.
That's all I want.
No.
Then I'll turn off my TV and not watch it.
I'm right there.
I'm just joking.
Special start time this Saturday for us on the East Coast at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pacific Standard Time, it starts at 3. So special start time for Survivor Series this Saturday. 5 matches announced. The 2 War Games matches, Gunther and Damian Priest, Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser for the Intercontinental Championship, and LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship. Gotta say, not a bad card. For 5 matches, quality over quantity, that is not a bad card at all.
It's not a bad card.
Yeah, we already know which ones are going to get the most time, which is obviously the War Games matches are going to get the most time. My question is, who's going to return? Who is going to turn?
Oh, I'm ready for this, fellas. I'm telling you right here now. I'm calling it here. Paul's going to turn on Roman. It's just a matter of when. It just feels different. You see the wink he gave Jay?
Yes.
You see the wink he gave Jay? You see he's dressed like Solo. There's fuckery afoot, fellas.
No.
I just don't know what that's going to look like. You know what I mean? I mean, ultimately, I kind of got this thought in my head that The Rock is pulling the strings. You know, that's a longevity problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of get the idea that, ultimately Paul's going to run and be like, hey, The Rock this, Rock that, whatever it is. It's going to be very, very interesting because there's a turn coming. It's just from where it's just going to be kind of tough to see.
I think that with everything that's going afoot, we talk about subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. Paul Heyman wearing the solo suit, the colors of the Bloodline. CM Punk coming in, that little exchange at the end of SmackDown where he's like, Roman's like, "What are you doing here? I'm not here for you. I'm here for him. I'm saving your ass." And then he's like, "But he's my wise man. You'll see." Like they planted the seeds for Roman versus Punk down the line, which I'm here for.
Right.
They have everything going into this, and CM Punk is the perfect choice because he's the OG Paul Heyman guy. I mean, tonight we found out that Bayley's going to be joining the team. So what I love about that is, too, Bianca and Bayley have history that even stems back from the COVID time period. Like, can they trust each other? Can she trust Bayley because they still don't like each other? Io and Bayley have history from Damage Control, and Io's the one who turned on Bayley to go into WrestleMania. So you have a lot of dichotomy there. That's cool. Can Tiffany and Candice LeRae get on the same page because they're fighting and yearning for the love of Nia? And you have Liv and Raquel, so there's so many dynamics to that one. Every match, but I will say this, has importance. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser has importance. Nakamura's back, and he wants that United States Championship against LA Knight. New look.
Yeah.
New Nakamura.
Yeah.
So everything on this pay-per-view, that as opposed to what we saw at AEW Full Gear, everything makes sense. This is how you book it. It's just meticulous all throughout.
You know,
So how long? Okay, go ahead, DC. Sorry, my bad.
I think now is the time to put a title back on Shinsuke. You know, give it to him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Damn it, DC. You know what? I ain't even gonna do this show no more, man. You be taking my ideas and shit.
Because I was gonna
hate when you read my mind. Damn it.
I'm happy with Braun Breaker. You know, his promo from last week where he just made fun of Ludwig Kaiser was absolutely hilarious.
I will say this though,
Give me
that clothesline was wicked that he gave. I said, okay, now we know you serious. That's what I got from that. He's flying around the ring doing the spear stuff, and he catches that wicked clothesline. And Ludwig Kaiser, he's so smooth. I love how he's filthy, and I love it in the best way possible. You know what I mean?
It makes me want to see Gunther versus Ludwig.
They planted the seeds. It's coming down the pipeline.
Right. I mean, you kind of see what Gunther told him. It's time for you to go make your mark, dude. Like, I'm tired of you sitting around underneath me. It's time for you to kind of go do your thing and, you know, be your own man type of deal. So, yeah.
Go.
Right.
And
it's time for me to push you out of the nest and go fly somewhere.
And I'm at the point I would not be mad for a Ludwig Kaiser Intercontinental Championship run. I would not be mad at that at all. Oof.
And he would bring prestige to that type. You imagine that type of heat he would get every time he came down to the ring?
Oh, you want to know what? Here's what I would like. Ludwig Kaiser, 667 days.
Oh, and he beats Gunther's record. Okay.
By one day.
By one
day. And he holds that over him. You know, and that would be funny to me. That would be more or less both funny and would really get at Gunther. It would really get at him, and it would Gunther.
I see your idea, Paul. You know how you make it even better? You know who he beats to break the record? Gunther.
Oh.
No, he beat Sami Zayn.
Ooh. Yeah.
I like that better.
That would be one for me to break the record that on 660 on his 667th day he beat Sami Zayn. That's if they can kind of time it right. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good while though, fellas.
Okay. So I see Naomi turning. Don't ask me why. I just kind of see Naomi turning on her team. Well, and if we aren't going to get, the only reason why I say that is because if we aren't going to get Bianca versus Jade, give me Bianca versus Naomi and let it be a turn by Naomi.
Yeah.
Or let it be a turn on by Bianca. Give me one of
But I mean, yeah. I mean, so what the context would be, I'm tired of, you could have ran with me.
I'm tired of everybody riding my coattails. I'm the EST. I would like to see a heel Bianca Belair. Yes, I know she's like a John Cena, that type of person to where you're probably going to get tired of her before.
But she was a heel in NXT.
She was a great heel in NXT, like that.
But she was a great heel in NXT, and I think but I think of where you go back to, and you look at John Cena was the prototype, and he was a heel in NXT, and then when he started on the main roster, he was just a go out there, ruthless aggression, yada yada yada. But when he started the Doctor of Thugonomics, what was he? He was a heel.
He was a heel. He was ripping everybody to shreds.
But then he got the crowd behind him with his raps, and all of a sudden it was like, why? This is gold right here. This guy's coming out dissing people, and all of a sudden it's like, bam! Everybody loves him, and he became this really great face. Yeah, it wasn't like people were happy with him. Yeah, over time people got tired of it, and yada yada yada, and wanted that turn so bad. But I think for the John Cena brand that he had already created, he wasn't going to turn heel.
Right.
Which is much like Bianca Belair. I don't think she was going to turn heel, or I don't think she'll turn heel again, but it would be great to see.
Right. The risk factor you run with that because of how empowering she is to women and kids. That'll be an interest.
Yeah, from that
she'll be our hustle, loyalty, and respect.
from that marketing standpoint, agreed. And I mean, to go on to EJ's point, I mean, if you look at Bianca from her NXT run, like the infamous "You don't go here" to Charlotte Flair during the Rhea Ripley, that was some of her best works. I mean, it's doable, it's possible, but yeah, I could see also Naomi too. I mean, when she was a heel, when we had Team Bad, when it was her, Sasha, and Tamina, like Naomi can do heel, like she can be a great heel too.
She was, but I didn't really buy it. You know what I mean? Because I was so used to the Funkadactyl shit at that point. I was like, somebody call your mama. You know what I mean?
Dan,
Like,
don't
you're
start
being-
getting up and dancing, damn it.
Yeah,
don't start getting up and dancing, Dan.
That's Mike's thing.
I could dance, yeah, but no, I'm not
Please
gonna.
don't.
I'm not. I'm good. This white
Please
boy.
don't do that Carlton dance ever again.
No.
No, that's a Wednesday thing for him.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Hey now.
That's not the show. That's not the show, Michael. That's not the show.
My bad. Well, let me tell you somebody who is on the show. And to quote Amir, I'm going to give a shout out to the Amir. Let me tell you something, bitch. We'll get to the main course of this. We got CM Punk up in this piece. Now, CM Punk did make waves this week for the, this place knows how to do business, unlike AEW. I wasted my matches on AEW on Peter Rosenberg. That was a hot topic. But the other hot topic is it is his 1 year anniversary with the WWE. He wrote on his Instagram story, "Happy 1 year anniversary of my rerun to WWE. Thanks to you to all the fans for waiting, chanting my name for years, and carrying me on this journey. Thank you to my family and friends backstage for the warmth and continued support. Thank you, Paul, Nick, and Bruce, for the trust in making it all happen. Love you all. We are just getting started." And they
the fucking picture in the background is fucking Seth going like this.
Yes.
That's the background picture is Seth like this.
Right.
Yes. So
it is great.
So we moved to this because not only Seth giving him the finger in the background, and that photo will be inserted because it's just absolutely fantastic. But this is what a lot of people got the takeaway because they did the behind the scenes on the WWE YouTube, and we'll play a couple clips from it. But this was the main one. Randy Orton to CM Punk backstage after Survivor Series last year. Can I not just enjoy 10 minutes? Well, so Randy Orton, that was so good. It was so good.
Hey, DC, tell me that this version of Randy Orton is not the fucking best.
Yes,
it is.
Because we know we know we close. I think that's what it is. I think we all know we real close to it being over for Randy. There's not really much else that he can do. Nothing else he can prove. To me, he's the epitome of neutral.
No. There is one thing he can do between now and the time his career ends, is that literally at this point he is tied with Triple H in world championship titles, and he wants that one more to get over Triple H.
Well, I mean, I'm up for it because I don't know if you saw the comment that I made when me and Paul were talking. I made a comment about Triple H when we were talking about Cena and the whole bag, and I was like, well, Triple H wouldn't be who he was if he wasn't an honorary McMahon. Not saying that he wouldn't be as successful, but I mean, let's be honest. He'd have been a 4 or 5 time champion compared to 14 if he's not an honorary McMahon. You feel me? So, kind of goes with that. Randy Orton, his body works for itself.
You look at Triple H's career. He is a 14-time world champion. But here's what made him really stand out above a lot of guys, is that he was the worker to get over everybody else. So for 14 times, he got over on guys, and he relinquished that title to the right person, or some people to the right people. That he let that title go to, but. I'm sure, we all can look back at his career and say, hey, look, he did good right by here and he did wrong by here. But this is Vince booking, and we have to look at for 14
I
times.
agree.
It's all Vince booking.
I'm not saying he wouldn't have been a champion in his own right. 7 or 8, maybe. But I don't think 14.
No. I mean,
I just don't think 14. I'll even be generous and say 10.
Yeah,
because Edge got 10. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll be generous to say 10.
I would say he was about the Edge route. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, but 14, that was a little more extra than we wanted. You know what I mean? And again, that's to me that you're on for too long. You know what I mean? So you got to start handing that belt off to somebody. Like, I don't want to see Cena win the 17th title. I just personally don't want to see it. Like, I'm an old guy. Let Flair be Flair. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Here's what you do with that. You have Cena getting close to the 17. Flair comes out, low blow. Because the second he breaks it, Flair's going to go off.
Absolutely. He's gonna go on a fucking tirade. That record stood for so long, as it should stay forever. I just don't think anybody should reach it. That's to me, that's kind of the holy grail. To me, it was like the streak being broken. It broke my heart watching that go. I said, "Are you kidding?"
Of all the things that never should have went, that should have never fucking happened.
I was sitting witty
Not
mirror.
to my guy. Not to my guy. Oh, sorry, my bad.
It
I remember
should
watching.
have gone to Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
It should have.
Well,
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt.
And
yeah.
I was at that Mania, and it would have been great to watch.
Bray.
Oh my goodness. That's the thing too. You could tell that, and I mean, people will say because the AEW diehards about, that. I'm like, but first and foremost, I'm going to say this right now, and I put it in the bluntest of terms every time. CM Punk or Jungle Boy, I can tell you who the bigger draw is going to be. And I mean, if this is not CM Punk's best run of his career, his best match in 3 years was the Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell. The feud of the year, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And Paul has said this. I've said this. I know you guys can agree. That is how you tell a story, Tony. That is how you tell a story.
I think
it didn't get old. It was perfect. Like it was perfect. You had Drew antagonizing Punk. You had Punk antagonizing Drew. The pinnacle of him putting those beads in his mouth. I mean, dude, it had everything. It had absolutely everything.
And I think the last thing I'll add to the point is, do you guys, when he made the comment about wasted matches in AEW, I could think of, he had the match with Max Caster. He had the match with Bobby Fish. He had the match with Pentagon Jr. Of course, the MJF feud, the Eddie Kingston feud, the Samoa Joe feud. He's had some matches, yeah, but do you guys think a lot of his matches were wasted? Do you agree with his sentiments?
I'd say the Jack Perry stuff, that whole...
I think that's where the dig was at.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
I don't think he was digging at Max Caster. I don't think he was digging at the rest of those guys. I think it was a direct shot at Jack Perry. Like, my last match over there was a moment that I had dealing with you fuckhead. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I was carted out.
And DC, we mentioned this before too. We've mentioned this countless times of all the shit that he had to deal with in AEW.
And I think Tony Khan's biggest mistake in my mind is not forcing the Elite to swallow their pride and work with Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Bucks didn't want to do it. Kenny was down to do it. Kenny was more than willing to do it.
Like the fact that we didn't see CM Punk and FTR against the Elite is a crime in itself. And number two, Tony. Yeah, I know.
You are the boss.
Yes.
I'm the boss, and you're telling me, hey, I don't want to work with this guy. I'm going to say, well, if you don't want to work with him, you can have your release right now.
Find another place to work.
Like, you don't control any narrative here. At least you're not supposed to.
Yeah, even being an EVP, you shouldn't have to have that much control over what you do in the company. You're just it's basically you're an investor in the company, but literally Tony Khan owns the company. So if he just would have told them, hey, you know what, suck up your pride, let's do this. We're gonna make money. We're gonna make money off of this too. And we're going to put asses in the seats for this, and we can continue this feud and make it heated to where, and just imagine that. Just imagine what they could have done had they just swallowed their pride, all three of them. Had they just swallowed their pride and allowed this to happen and just say, hey, look, we can make some fucking money, and can you imagine how much money they would have made?
Listen, all I'm gonna say is we're gonna sprinkle a little thing called creative control. That's the only thing that was missing in this equation.
Oh yeah,
was creative control from the Bucks. You gave them everything else. Everything else.
But I think their mindset is, and this is why I hate their mindset. It's like, why are you guys ruining my good time? You know, what's a good time? Making money.
Yeah,
What it would be.
making money. You
Yeah.
guys are painting. At that point, they were printing money in the basement.
Exactly. But it's just they don't get it. And this is why AEW is in the spot that we are in this current
I'll pay you.
I'll pay you.
This is why Dan's so happy with Tony Khan. I'll pay you.
Hey you, Mercedes, I love you. Thank God for you. But what you should think,
We're the best wrestle.
Yes.
Yeah, we're the
Here's
best.
$10 million a year not to do jack shit for the next 3 years. Mercedes, here you go. Here you go. Here's $30 million. Here you go.
Here you go. Well, what we can say here you go with is another edition of the weekly review. And y'all, I will say this for those, if the show will either be out before or after Thanksgiving, either way, we hope each and every one of you have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourselves and be with the family, be with the ones you love, because that takes precedence. And it's just good times and moments and memories, my dear friend. So before we do close this out, we'd like to thank EJ, Mr. Charisma over here, for coming on to a thing. AJ, you're always welcome on with us, and we definitely will do more of these in the future. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, dude.
Well, man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure having you guys with me, man. I appreciate you guys. I'll definitely pull up when you guys need me to. You guys just tell me when to show up, and I'll come through.
Right on. And as far as the socials go, where can we follow you if you would like to promote some of your socials, dude?
I mean, honestly, man, I just, just charisma. Find me, man. I mean,
fair enough.
For me, brother. You know what I mean? Like I'm old, guys. You know what I mean? I don't,
I'm old.
You're seasoned. You're seasoned.
You're seasoning, baby.
You're seasoning, baby. Yeah, thank you. Look at least 3 of us are seasoned.
This is true. Very true.
Look, Michael's still wet behind the ears.
Yes.
He's still a youngster. Don't worry about it. He's still
that was great. I'm sorry, but yeah, Google charisma.
Man, drink it in, man. I mean,
ain't no way. That's all you need. Max and RWT. Ain't no way.
No way.
Dan, where can we follow you on the socials and promote your shiznit, man? Go ahead.
Y'all know where to find me. The pundit's back doing my thing. Y'all know where to find me.
All right, fair enough. Paul, go ahead.
The Dan Man of RWT. Of course, you can find me on Twitter. Of course, you can find me on X. Oh, you can find me on Twitter for at least the next 5 days, because I'm deactivating my account because fuck Elon Musk. I'm on Blue Sky now, so you can find me there. Of course, you can find me on Threads. Big Papa 76. Of course, you can find me on YouTube. Same name. Everything is all RWT. TikTok also, of course, you can find me on the RWT Facebook page with all these idiots over here. So, of course, Mr. Michael Larkin, you can close us out, sir.
All right, Michael Larkin at 92, Mike Larkin 92 on YouTube for Uncaged, the weekly review, Steve and Mike show, Deep into the Heart of Wrestling with Robert and Nicola, the new Wrestling Roundtable that we just did, talk about John Cena The Last Time Is Now. More shows to come, so subscribe to the YouTube. And if you want to catch yours truly on the Twitter machine, SM Show 1 or MCL92 or Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB on Instagram, SteveandMikeShow.com, LFC Fights for Lingerie Fighting Championship.com, where you can check out Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC podcast that I host. Y'all, we have a lot of great variety and we have a lot of great talent and content here on this YouTube channel. And we're thankful for each and every one of you. Happy Thanksgiving for EJ, for Paul, for Dan. My name is Mike Larkin. This concludes another edition of the Weekly Review, and we'll see you next time. Be safe, be well, and happy holidays, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, baby.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
The past is gone. Now is the future.